Spring training is over, and the real thing is here. That's next on Curveballs and Changeups, a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento. This is a podcast for Giants and A's fans and baseball fans in general. No straight fastballs here, folks, just a bunch of off-speed pitches to keep the hitters off balance. Maybe a few cutters and some riding heat just to keep you honest. Just a little bit about myself. I played the game. I once hit a grand slam home run in an over 30 baseball league. Sure, it was off a 46-year-old airline pilot, and the wind was blowing out, but it carried 360 feet and flew over the left field wall. I covered baseball as a sports writer in the 1980s and early 90s. I've been a baseball fan since 1968 when the kid down the block introduced the Giants to me and my brothers. The next year, my dad took me to my first major league game at the Oakland Coliseum to watch the A's. So that's all you need to know about me. We waited all fall and winter. We were so excited when they announced pitchers and catchers report. Spent all winter speculating about free agent signings, trades, roster construction. And now we've been through the entire spring training, and we're here. Some made it, many did not. The heartbreak of not breaking camp with a big league team is still palpable for a lot of players. And the thrill of those who did will be evident on opening day. Injuries are always a worry on spring training, and neither the A's nor the Giants could avoid some big ones, as the A's lost a starting second baseman and top reliever, and the Giants lost a middle-of-the-order designated hitter. After all that, once the season begins, everything that was so important during spring training will be forgotten. Nobody will remember that the Giants won the Cactus League championship with a 21-6-4 record. Here's what Bob Melvin had to say. He said, "When you have a bad spring, you say, it's only spring training. And when you have a good spring, then you feel like it can carry you forward a little bit. I think it's beneficial," he said, "that we have a good spring and we got some good results." This is the opening day episode. Are the A's a real contender? They're 17-14 in the spring. There's a lot of buzz coming out of spring that this is a team to watch out for. It's a young team on the rise. Finished strong, fairly strong last year. A lot of good hitters in the lineup. How about the Giants? Are they for real? After the great spring training they had, it would really be a disappointing season if they did not follow through. But now we turn to the vast stretches of the unknown and unpredictable terrain that we'll cover over the next 6 months. First, I want to say a word about the A's and their move to Sacramento. Definitely exciting for fans in Sacramento to welcome the A's as a major league team in town. But I want to take a moment to acknowledge the huge psychic loss to Oakland fans. There are many, many fans who will refuse to even look at the box score with the former Oakland A's. Many A's fans are so hurt and are so much in pain about the loss of their team that it's going to be almost impossible for them to follow this team. And they won't be getting over losing their team anytime soon. I mean, all you have to know is there are fans in Brooklyn and New York who still mourn the loss of the Dodgers and the Giants. There are fans in Kansas City who lost the A's who regretted that loss. Because remember, the A's of Kansas City moved to Oakland in 1968, and only 3 years later, the A's started that magnificent run they had of 5 playoff appearances in a row, 3 world championships. That's a team that was developed in Kansas City. That's a team that they lost. And now, of course, they only had the A's for a fairly short time, about 15, 16 years. The A's here in Oakland, of course, have been generational. We've had them since 68. And this is truly ripping the heart and soul out of that city. And so you have to acknowledge that and understand that there's a lot of pain out there for fans. But there are other A's fans, I imagine, who won't be able to resist the temptation of following this team, and partly because they know that this is a young group of kids who are on the rise. It's a team that they believe they should have been able to watch in Oakland as it rises into more prominence. So yeah, that's the sad part. The A's have that great potential, and Oakland won't be able to get to watch them up close. But maybe some will take the trip to Sacramento. It'll be hard to squeeze into that stadium, only 14,000 seats. So, but they will be televised, and I think that some of that talent will just be unavoidably, irresistibly watched by A's fans. Do the Sacramento fans have guilt? I don't know, possibly. But remember, they had the Oakland A's AAA team for years, and they lost them to the Giants. So there was a little bit of resentment there, too. And so those fans are definitely happy to have the A's in town. So it's a strong base out of Sacramento for the A's. Good fans. They're the best in the NBA, and they're going to be out to prove themselves at the major league level. All right, let's start with a look at the A's. There is, as I said, a lot of buzz about the A's. They finished with 17 wins in spring training, and they did it mostly with the bat. Well, first of all, let me just say that they opened the season with a 4-game road trip in Seattle, and their starting rotation is aligned so that Luis Severino gets the nod on opening night, and he goes up against Logan Gilbert. Gilbert is tough. He's last year he was I think 3-0 against the A's with a 2.41 ERA. So he'll be tough. The A's bats are ready, but Logan Gilbert is somebody to contend with for sure. Severino finished strong with 5 1/3 innings in his last start, gave up only a 1 earned run, 6 hits, struck out 4, and that was nice. He was a little bit mediocre in his earlier starts, but he amped it up for the last start, and he's ready to go. And then Friday night, it'll be Jeffrey Springs against Luis Castillo. Jeffrey Springs also had a rough go at it for a little bit. Had 2 bad outings against the Giants, but he finished with a pretty strong one against, I think it was the Cubs. He went 4 innings, gave up 1 earned run, struck out 8. We're still seeing very short outings for these starters, so it will be incumbent upon the bullpen to pick up some slack in these early games for sure. Then Saturday night, it'll be Osvaldo Bido versus Bryce Miller. Now, after a rough start also, Bido did well in his final 2 spring training starts. He went 9 innings over the 2 starts, giving up only 2 runs on 6 hits, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. So Bido had a really nice moments last year. There was some concern early in spring when he was giving it up, but finished strong and is ready to go for the 3rd game. And then the 4th game of that road trip, it'll be J.P. Sears against Brian Wu. Now, Sears got out of his last start with just 3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 4 hits. But that's one of those games, the last game of spring training. That's one of those games where you just want to get out of it healthy, and he did. And he's ready for Game 4. And it looks like it'll be Joey Estes who will be starting on the mound in the home opener Monday in Sacramento, March 31st, against the Cubs. And the A's bullpen looked mostly pretty good in the spring. Closer Mason May was dominant as ever, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, no walks, only 1 earned run. Jose Leclerc had 2 rough outings, gave up 2 earned runs in 1 inning and 3 earned runs in another inning. But he was scoreless in 5 other outings, so showed good flashes of his ability. He'll be the setup man to May. Hogan Harris was strong. It was interesting. I mean, you wouldn't think the results would have been as they were, giving up only 1 earned run in 12 2/3 innings with the 12 walks he had in those 12 2/3 innings. But he was able to work through that Gave up only 4 hits, struck out 13. And then the rest of the bullpen would include T.J. McFarland, who did great, 2 earned runs in 8 innings. Justin Sterner, who was a surprise to make the roster after getting picked up on waivers from Tampa Bay. He forced his way onto the roster, though, with 12 scoreless innings, 17 strikeouts. And then there's Noah Murdoch, who's a Rule 5 draft pick who has to stay with the team unless the A's decide to drop him. And then, of course, we're waiting on Michael Antonia's. His return will not be until May at the earliest. And then there's Mitch Spence and Tyler Ferguson also in the bullpen. The A's team pitching in the Cactus League was pretty good. Their ERA of 4.58 was third best. Their walk totals was 6th fewest. They were tied for second with 281 strikeouts, tied with the Giants. Their whip was 1.37, which is 4th best, and they allowed the 4th fewest home runs with 28. So not bad for a team that is more known for its offense. Now the hitters, what you hope for is you look for the trends that the lineup should show, and the question is, did they show the power that everybody's expecting of them? Did the team use speed on the base paths? How well did it work to get on base? Overall, spring the hitting was kind of in the middle of the pack. They were 8th best of 15 in the Cactus League in batting average at 259, 6th best in home runs with 32, 8th best in on base at 339, and 10th best with a 413 slugging average. They scored more than 5 runs a game. They did not run. They only stole 16 bases, which was 3rd fewest. They did get the ball in play. They struck out 233 times. And only 2 teams struck out less. And that, to me, is one of the biggest keys for an offense is to put the ball in play. All right, here's their starting lineup. At least for the opening day lineup, it'll be Lawrence Butler in right field. Now, he had just a crushing spring training, went 18 for 47, 383 batting average with 2 homers and 9 RBIs. Brent Rooker is expected to hit second at DH. He had 3 home runs in 3 consecutive games there to end strong at 263 batting average. Hitting third is expected to be J.J. Bleday. He had 333 in the spring with 3 home runs. Cleanup will be Shea Langoliers, the catcher. He hit 293 with 2 home runs in spring. Hitting fifth would be the DH, Miguel Andujar. He hit 320 with 2 home runs. It'll be interesting to see what kind of comeback season he has this year after really struggling with injuries over the last several years since his rookie year, really. But he seems poised to have a good breakout season. Then there's first baseman Tyler Soderstrom, who struggled a bit, hit 226, although he finished fairly strong in the last couple of games. Starting at third base and hitting 7th is Gio Urshela, and he was fine. He hit 270. Hitting 8th, and this is kind of a surprise, Max Muncy is penciled in for starting at second base and hitting 8th for the A's on opening day. Now, he was one of the last players to make the roster. He hit 289, and I'm going to get to a comment by Bob Melvin in just a minute about why he made such a great impression on him. And batting 9th will be Jacob Wilson, the shortstop, the phenom shortstop who hit 314 with a team-high 4 home runs and 12 ribbies. And he'll be really exciting to watch. I don't make predictions. I really don't. But my feeling is that he's going to have a nice rookie season. On the bench will be Luis Urias, second baseman. I thought he was going to actually be named starter once Zach Geloff went down with injury. Urias hit 333 with a 429 on base. He'll definitely get plenty of playing time early on. Then there's left fielder Seth Smith, who actually struggled pretty badly in spring training at 163 with 13 strikeouts. And then there's Max Schumann, who also struggled just a little bit at 222. And the backup catcher is Johnny Pereda, the longtime minor leaguer. who finally made it to the majors last year with Miami after 11 years in the minors. So his first opening day assignment of his long baseball career. There, as I was mentioning about Max Muncy, good MLB.com story by Martin Gallegos about Mark Kotsay pulling Muncy aside early in spring to tell him he wasn't happy with his performance, but he wasn't just yet sending him down. Told him he needed to make a good impression on him, and Muncy did, and wound up really wowing Kotsay. His quote, Kotsay said, "He's a kid that's dynamic. He's a fast-twitched kid that is really athletic, can cover ground, play all over the infield, a lot of value." So that was nice to see from Kotsay, and Muncy was rewarded by being placed not only on the opening day roster, but in the opening day lineup. So as Martin Gallegos said, the A's could have one of the most potent offenses this year. You've got Butler, Rooker, Bleday, and Langoliers, who last year combined for 110 home runs. And, I don't know if you can expect Rooker to hit more than 39, but I think the other three, and Langoliers, I don't know, he hit 29 last year. Maybe you don't expect him to hit that many this year also, but I think you're going to get more power out of Butler in a complete season. And Bleday, you'll probably see more power, and you'll see some more power out of others in the lineup. So that is going to be pretty exciting. And the one thing, of course, the one X factor is the stadium in Sacramento, how it plays. I think the consensus is, and I've watched many games there, that it plays pretty fairly in terms of fly balls to the outfield. The power is power. Nothing is really boosted by any kind of conditions, although the hot weather may help it a little bit. The other thing, though, is that the foul territory, of course, is just much more standard than was at the Coliseum. So hitters will be getting extra swings because foul balls that would otherwise have been caught in Oakland will be in the hands of fans. All right, I want to move over to the Giants now. And the thing that really stands out from their spring was that pitching dominated. It was just a wonderful display of pitchers following through on the dictates of their coaches, and the one mantra of spring with that staff was no walks, and they followed through on that. I mean, you saw starter after starter coming out after 4, 5, 6 innings even with no walks, maybe one walk. They led the major leagues in the fewest walks, and by far. I think they had 67 walks in the 31 games they played. And that led to so many good outcomes. And that's why they went 21-6. They just dominated with the pitching, and it was basically pitchers deciding to get their good stuff in the strike zone and not worrying about the outcome. Just throw it in the strike zone and see what happens. And it turns out that they actually have some good arms that are difficult to square up. Now the lineup, it'll be a question of how potent they will be, especially without major power. Yes, sure, we did get middle of the order power with Willie Adames, although he's hitting second. And Matt Chapman is a 20 to 25 home run guy. But San Francisco just does not play with power. And it's always been the fact that their success on offense relies upon other aspects of offense, getting on base, moving the lineup along, moving runners up, doing the small things. Now, the Giants have not been the kind of team that runs, and I don't expect them to run that much again this year, but the focus this year was to hit situationally, and that meant doing what you had to get the ball in play, and also to, instead of muscling up for power, just getting line drives out there. Now, of course, the offense was looking really good when they had Gerard Encarnacion there in the middle. His injury is just devastating to their prospects. Really, I mean, they'll be able to fill the gaps, but he was really going to be a strong component to that lineup. And now with his hand surgery, is expected to be out for quite a while. The initial reports were that it would be 4 to 5 weeks, but now the Giants have not gone public with an actual timeline, and they won't until the surgery is completed. All right, first I want to take a look at the pitching. They did finalize their pitching staff with a maximum of 13. The rotation is Logan Webb, and he'll be starting the opener on Thursday in Cincinnati. And they actually haven't determined the order of the rotation, but the way it's gone through spring was Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, and then the fifth starter, who was just recently announced as Landon Roop. He beat out Hayden Birdsong in that big battle for that final spot in the rotation. And so that'll be the first five. And then the relievers, you've got Ryan Walker, who is going to be the incumbent closer until otherwise told. And then behind him, Camilo Doval, the former closer, will probably be the main setup guy. But there's also Tyler Rogers, who acts as setup. And then the rest of the bullpen is pretty interesting. You have Spencer Bivens, who beat out Sean Jelly. Not that they were competing against each other directly, but Sean Jelly was the incumbent long reliever in the bullpen, the longest tenured reliever in the Giants organization, and had done pretty well last year, but had a fairly mediocre spring, while Spencer Bivens just showed a consistency. Bivens, last year, every time he was called upon, he did the job, and he did so many different roles. He could come on for 2, 3, 4 innings. He could start for you. He could come in situations with runners on base. And Bob Melvin talked about how he valued that kind of that ability to do so many different kinds of assignments. And then the other three in the bullpen are Eric Miller, the only lefty in the bullpen. That'll be interesting, although there are a couple of righties who can pitch backwards against lefties. Randy Rodriguez made it out of the spring training, and he's a holdover from last year, although he wasn't necessarily a top bullpen guy, but he has such a great arm, and Melvin is familiar with him, so he stayed on. And then the final relief spot went to Lou Trevino, which is actually a kind of a great story. Trevino had been out of baseball for a couple of years. He had suffered an injury, went through Tommy John surgery, had not made it back through last year, but was able to come on this spring really strong. He's a favorite of Bob Melvin's. Remember, he pitched for Bob Melvin for several years in Oakland, and he was a closer for the A's for a while. So that's going to be a real asset for the Giants to have somebody of that kind of experience, and of course the arm plays big time. So the Giants during spring training, the numbers are really good. The team ERA was tops in the Cactus League at 3.59 by a wide margin. The next best were the Rockies, kind of ironically, at 4.51. Maybe they like pitching in Arizona better than they like in Colorado. And there were 11 teams with ERAs of 5.00. So obviously the hitting dominated early this year, of course. But the Giants they stood out with a 3.59 ERA. Their walks, as I said, 67, the best in all of the major leagues. Their whip was also best in the league at 1.17. That's walks and hits per inning. Average against was 237, again, the best. And they had 281 strikeouts, which was tied for third most. But now it's the real season, the real deal. And we'll see if they can carry it over into the regular season. The rotation order, as I said, is not settled yet after opening day. Logan Webb going against Hunter Green. That game on Thursday starts at 1:10 Pacific time, 4:10 East Coast. And after an open day, in case of rain on Friday, the Reds on Saturday go with Nick Lodolo, and on Sunday, Nick Martinez. And I said it's probably going to be Justin Verlander on Saturday and Robbie Ray on Sunday, though that could flip. And then Monday for the home opener, it would be Jordan Hicks. And then the fifth starter is, of course, as I said, Landon Root. All right, so the Giants at bat, they did well also, although the one thing that stood out to me in looking at their team stats for spring training, they had 276 strikeouts, which was tied for third most in the Cactus League. And that's something I'm going to be watching. As I said in an earlier podcast, the Giants had 9 players, or at least 9 positions in their lineup that had 100 strikeouts or more. There were 7 starters who had 100 strikeouts or more. And for a team that didn't muster offense well last year, that just was so hurtful to their chances. They just they faltered and they didn't put the ball in play, and that was basically their identity as a team. So those 276 strikeouts in spring training is a little bit alarming, something to watch out for. They did have the 6th best on-base percentage at .361. Their .276 batting average was 5th best. They hit 45 home runs, which was 3rd most. And they stole 22 bases, which was tied for 9th most, which is neither here nor there. The projected lineup for the Giants for opening day tomorrow is first base, Lamont Wade. Hitting second will be shortstop, Willie Adames. Jung-Hoo Lee will be third in center field. Hitting cleanup will be Matt Chapman. Batting fifth, Elliot Ramos. And then Patrick Bailey will hit sixth at catcher. If you notice, they're going left, right here. Melvin wanted to make sure that there wasn't a long string of same-side hitters that a bullpen could come in and close down. So he went with Wade lefty, Adames righty, Lee lefty, Chapman righty, Ramos righty, and then Bailey switch, Flores righty, and then Wilmer Flores, the DH, hitting 7th. Right fielder Mike Yastrzemski hitting 8th, is a lefty, and then batting 9th would be Tyler Fitzgerald playing second base. I think that lineup is subject to change. I think you could move it around a little bit. I am not necessarily a fan of Adames so high in the lineup. I'd rather have him hit down to stretch the lineup out toward the middle. We did see Ramos batting leadoff against left-handed hitters. That'll happen. But my favorite would be to have Fitzgerald hitting second behind Wade, and you get 2 good on-base guys at the top. Fitzgerald also hits into the fewest double plays, and he has speed. So if Wade doesn't get on, you have Fitzgerald at least to start. Of course, the lineup, once it turns around, it doesn't matter. These hitters hit in different spots in the game. So that's the lineup. And then, of course, missing is Encarnacion, which is a huge blow. He was really, now you look at Encarnacion and his loss, and that is just the classic baseball spring training situation where you have so many hopes and you can dream big dreams about certain players, and then suddenly his fate is crushed with one really unfortunate injury where he was diving for a ball. He was a late inning defensive replacement diving for a ball that had no consequence at all on the game, and yet put himself in jeopardy. And now he has no idea what his future will be, whereas he had the future was wide open just a week ago. On the bench, the Giants, the backup catcher will be Sam Huff. And then we just got news that the final 3 spots on the roster has been determined. The news came over. It was interesting. Mike Krukow, of all people, broke the news that Christian Koss, the utility infielder-outfielder, who really wasn't given much of a chance to make the team. He has made the roster as a backup utility guy. People love his energy. He's got a nice bat. He feels his positions well. He actually plays shortstop. His best position is probably his shortstop, and so he could be a guy that gives Willie Adames a spell here or there. But he can also play center field, second base, and other spots. So congratulations to Christian Koss, who makes the team. Luis Matos, I think, was always presumed to be in there, and he has made it. And he'll be a backup outfielder. He'll be the fourth outfielder. Brett Wisely and Grant McRae were told last night that they were not going to make the roster. And I think it's actually a good deal for McRae. Wisely, not so much. I mean, Wisely, we know what he can do. But McRae needs to play. He needs to work on certain things. One, getting the ball in play, striking out less, and maybe shortening his swing. I'm hoping he can work on just putting the ball in play and using his speed to get on base. It's hard to do that for a kid who knows he's got power, but it's the kind of thing that if you want to make to the major leagues and distinguish yourself, that's what you do. And it looks like Casey Schmidt. That has not been decided yet, not been announced, but it looks like it would be Casey Schmidt as the last man to make the roster, and he would be the backup third base, shortstop, second baseman, right-handed bat off the bench. So congratulations to Casey Schmidt. Prematurely, I think. Actually, it's not official, so that's just by logic, that's where it would fall. So now it is real. The thrills and agony of Major League Baseball begins. I'll be there to take score, observe, analyze, and have fun with the journeys that the A's and the Giants will be on for the next 6 months or more. Now, I want to end with another installment of Did You Know? It's a quick one. Did you know that 2 of my high school teammates were once traded for a future Hall of Famer? The names probably won't ring a bell for you, but Brian Gwynn and Dave Wilder, teammates of mine at Berkeley High School in the late 70s, were in the A's organization. This is back in 1985, I think, or 86. They were in the A's organization in AAA. Brian Gwynn, a shortstop, Dave Wilder, an outfielder. And they were dealt to the Chicago Cubs for Dennis Eckersley. And, of course, we all know what happened after that. Eckersley turned his career around as the best closer in baseball. In fact, the next many years that he pitched for the A's set him on course to the Hall of Fame. And Brian Gwynn and Dave Wilder were sent to the Cubs organization and never rose above AAA. Their story is something that one day maybe I'll get to. But they will be known in history as the players who brought the A's Dennis Eckersley and his Hall of Fame career. I also wanted to make mention of a great opening day column today by Ann Killion. She's a general columnist. She doesn't cover the beat necessarily. But what a wonderful job she did talking about the culture change on the Giants. And she used kind of symbolic language to depict it. And that was that, you walk into the clubhouse and you see a display case, and that's where the 3 World Series trophies are being scheduled to be placed in. But then on either side of the display case wall, there are 2 offices. They're empty now. Previously, they were occupied by staffers from the analytics department, and you'd see them as you came. First thing you came into the clubhouse, you'd see the analytics guys clacking away on their computers and crunching all the numbers. Well, they're gone. Well, they're not gone from the organization. They've just been moved. They have been moved to a less visible place in the organization. They do their work, but they're not as visible. And now those offices will be used for old ex-Giants who can come by and hang out and just offer their presence and really they would symbolize the importance of the Giants' history, and they would be there for the current players to have chats with. It used to be that Willie Mays and Willie McCovey would occupy certain spaces in that clubhouse, and they would impart their wisdoms, and but generally just their presence would elevate the entire clubhouse. And so that's what's going to happen. Buster Posey is going to bring in some of his old pals from the World Series days to be a presence in that clubhouse. And so I thought that was a very interesting observation on the part of Ann Killion, and the rest of the column really is great. It looks at how Buster Posey has decided that the cultural change was needed, and it tends toward the human side rather than the analytic side, and I'm a fan of that. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's best baseball podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts. Until next time, lay off that slider low and away.